Watch your back. Literally. On this episode of Star Trek Universe, we're beaming down to the Deneva colony, which has been overrun by ketchup-covered pancake parasites from another galaxy. We're reviewing Operation Annihilate after these pain-induced shriekings from our mystery sister-in-laws. Welcome into Star Trek Universe. We're continuing our rewatch/first watch of Star Trek the original series. This week, the final season 1 episode, Operation Annihilate.
We made it.
We did it. I'm your host, David C. Robertson. I've seen this a million times.
I'm Effie Opelders, and I have seen this once.
Yeah.
Hence the first time watch thing. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thunk we'd ever make it this far? Yeah.
I had a pretty good idea. Yeah.
I mean, I figured I was, commitment and all that. Like I was expecting us to. But still, it's nice to celebrate milestones. Like come on.
The Memory Alpha synopsis for this episode: the Deneva colony is attacked by flying parasites that cause mass insanity, while the crew of the Enterprise search for a way to stop them.
Stop them, they do.
They stop them. They figure it out. This is an episode. I don't know how it sits for you. I will say this is one of my favorite of the not goods.
What the fuck does that mean?
It means I enjoy it for many fantastical, silly sci-fi reasons.
Fair enough. That makes sense, because I was going to use the word silly. It is one of the sillier ones, but it's fun. It's nothing groundbreaking, outstanding, whoa, world-shattering. I will never be the same person again, but it is good fun. It's again another, there's beings, there's a mystery. What do they do? What do they want? What do they even look like? And we slowly figure that out, and then we find a weakness because they're, parasitic, and that's not great.
I don't say this to discredit an old science fiction television show from 1967.
Which one?
But when I was a kid, even when I would watch this episode, I would say, "Oh, okay, so it's either the heat or the light from the sun that's causing this thing to die." As soon as I saw the ship fly into the sun, he's like, "I'm free. I'm like, "Okay, he's trying to get closer to the sun. It's either the light or the heat." I'm 4 years old.
That's fair.
And I think even as a kid, I remember as like a 4-year-old, I remember sitting with my mom and watching that scene and going, "Oh, well, he's trying to get toward the light." So to sit and watch this episode, though, it is frustrating to be like, you keep saying, "I've been over it and over it." You have missed like the 4-year-old diagnosis of this issue.
About that. How do I put this? As not a 4-year-old, I at first expected it to be heat. Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Once they ruled out heat and radiation, and they started, yapping about gravity, I was like, fuck yeah, that's way more inventive. Go with gravity. And then they went with the 4-year-old solution. Slightly disappointed by that, I guess. Again, the gravity of the sun would have likely flattened all of the people as well. So it might have been a poor choice. But at the same time, sometimes the obvious solution is just staring you right in the face, and you're like, nah, it's got to be more complicated than this. Because you're a fucking adult.
And then once you realize it is light, why are you not going to test to see if, you can not blind the people?
Part of the light spectrum actually affects them? Yeah, that seems... Yeah.
Yeah. So, issues with this episode.
Also, I don't quite get how, okay, closing your eyes, you still get blinded. closing your eyes twice, you get blinded temporarily. How the fuck does that work? Should he just, like, come on.
They may have just been damaged, and then he could, get... Because there are things like where you
But then the eyelids don't matter. Because there was something about the Vulcan inner eyelids
The Vulcan inner
thing.
eyelid closed in enough time that it was able to cause permanent damage, I guess.
Prevent permanent damage, but yeah, sure, okay.
Yeah,
fine.
it still got damaged.
I'll take it.
His eyes were open for just a second before, like, he went and closed his eyes.
Okay. So you have the which honestly just shut your eyes immediately, Spock. Come on, that's logical, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're gonna flinch and do it anyway. So
all sorts of weird in this episode. All sorts.
Oh, sure.
Like at first, it feels like in the first act, it feels like Kirk is like super like worried about Sam and Areola or whatever her name was, and Peter.
Sure.
But it's a weird name I can never remember.
Aurelian,
something.
It's not quite Aurelia. Whatever the fuck. Aurelian, yeah, sure.
Aurelian, all right.
Aurelian. Yeah, who the fuck cares? There's no way to make it make sense. It's not a name.
So, but yeah, it seemed like, hey, I'm really worried about my people here, and then
I have a brother. We've never heard about this, but boy, do I care about him. And
he mentioned Sam.
Yeah.
He mentioned Sam in The Devil in the Dark, actually.
Oh God, that's a while ago. Which one was that?
No, it wasn't a while ago. It was the Horta, the mother who bore through the caves. And
right, I'm bad at titles. Jesus, yeah.
No, he mentioned Sam there.
I don't remember how he was relevant at that point, but sure. Okay, cool.
Yeah, but
we're finally gonna meet Sam without a face.
Oh no, he had a face. It was Shatner's face.
Did he have a face?
Yeah,
I just remember the body being like half off screen.
That's like one of the best parts of the episode. Is like McCoy is like, "Is this your brother, Sam?" And Kirk goes over. You see the half of the episode, and you see him turn him over, and then it cuts very briefly to him turning him over, and we see the face, and it's literally William. It is literally William Shatner with a different hairdo and a mustache.
That's amazing. I love that. I don't know how I missed that.
Right.
I just did not process it, apparently, or I looked away for the wrong 2 seconds. Who knows? That sucks. Guess I'll have to rewatch. No, I'll be fine. But that's cool.
Yeah, you could just find a screenshot of it, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's much easier. Yeah.
And by the way,
that sounds delightful.
The current show, Strange New Worlds, Sam Kirk is a main cast member.
That's fucking great. I love it. And what was he again? A biologist or some shit?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Love that.
Yeah, and I really like his character, even though I know he's going to die from a pancake alien.
Yeah. That happens. You can't help it sometimes, right?
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I like the idea of this episode. Sure. I just thought it was poorly executed in a fair...
That's fair. It is very much this concept makes sense. Like, you could imagine it almost in a horror scenario, like, taking over your nerve. But it's just not that. It's just kind of wacky. And it's, I do like the fact that they have a different type of scenery this time, where the colony really looks like the planet looks more modern. Like, you finally get a sort of feel for this time period outside of the Enterprise, or, like, offices of Starfleet people. I don't know. You had some outdoorsy, not pastel background drops that were painted on. Like there were buildings, and they were slightly futuristic, but still recognizable as what we know to be things. I don't know. It was a neat vibe. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Generally, if it has a really cool premise, like I am gonna like it better than.
Sure.
I mean, it can have a really cool premise and be just really poorly executed. But if the execution is more silly, I'm way more forgiving, and it can be one of my favorite of the lesser known. You know, like, so.
Yeah.
I think I just
Ultimately,
went a long way
we're
around
here
that.
to be entertained. Yeah.
So.
So.
I think it's interesting at the end of this episode, you know, Kirk just lost his brother. He just lost he's upset in the first act, a little upset in the second act, and then by the end of it,
he's hiding it and then, moving on, but there's no dealing with it. There's no, oh, by the way, where's Peter gonna live? Do we have other extended family, like something?
Yeah.
Are there orphanages in the United Federation?
Actually, on this one, there is a deleted scene of him talking to Peter. Peter's got on like a Starfleet shirt, and he's like sitting in the command chair, and Kirk is telling him that he's gonna go back to Deneva and live with a fellow scientist, like his dad's best friend or whatever. There was a deleted scene.
Like, at least make it like the mom's family or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, she might have been killed. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Oh, wait, she's not Deneva.
The scientist friend might also have been killed, and also, do we know him? Is he a child molester? I don't fucking know.
True.
Like,
no, I was operating under the idea, for some reason,
not that family can't be,
that her parents or whatever would be living there because it was their home world. I just convinced myself of that for some reason, but no, that's why I said she would be dead. I was like, oh wait, that's not her home world. Never mind.
No, they're all just, they've gone there, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I liked the acting and stuff from this episode.
Yeah, it's all solid. That's never the issue. It's just
my
what
biggest
did they write.
I mean, my biggest gripe about this episode is how Kirk, by the end of it, is not upset about his brother anymore, or his sister-in-law.
Yeah, that feels thrown in where it could have been just anyone.
Yeah.
Oh, old friend scientist lives there now. Fine. Would have worked just the same because he doesn't seem that attached to his only brother. Or, well, I don't know if it's only one, but the only one we've heard of. Okay, fair enough.
So, yeah, he's over here making jokes, talking like, oh, you've been so concerned with his Vulcan eyes, Doctor. You forget about his Vulcan ears. I'm making a
it's
joke.
A fun scene, but there is absolutely no reason for there to be no resolution for, the orphan fucking nephew you have on board.
Yeah.
Like, what? I was expecting the kid to get a line at some point, but I guess not.
Yeah. And also, like, he did that, like, kid actor thing. Like, that thing specifically when a kid is pretending to be asleep. So they're, like...
Sorta, I guess.
Licking their lips and actively swallowing and fluttering their eyes. When if you've ever seen a kid asleep, they don't do that.
Fair enough. But I took it as like, groaning in his sleep as, like, not quite staying still because he's in pain. Which is fair.
Yeah. So they kept stressing the fact that, like, if he becomes conscious, he will be in pain. Yeah. I think they were just like, this kid is terrible. And they told him to lay there and pretend.
Cannot let him wake up.
I feel like they told him to, like, just lay there and pretend you can't do anything. Because just watching that kid's mouth and stuff move around, like, it was just like, it totally just looked like a kid who was trying to pretend that they were asleep for their parents' benefit.
I hope to God I was better at pretending.
We all do, but none of us were.
Yeah, that's fair. Not always. No.
Yeah. So, Stephen Karabatsis had an obligation in his contract that he must deliver at least one script of his own while serving as story editor. Karabatsis left the series in late 1966, but still had to fulfill this task before departing. Having no idea of his own, Roddenberry suggested him one entitled Operation Destroy, which was the basis for this episode. As originally conceived,
both titles are kind of bad.
Yeah. The script, as originally conceived, did not envision the parasites being killed with light. Instead, the Enterprise leaves Deneva and destroys their home planet by effectively annihilating the central brain that controls their operations. The ship renders the creatures harmless.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
okay.
they did have that.
feels more cliche somehow.
It wouldn't have been then, but
No, sure, but yeah.
But yeah, like they did mention in the episode, and it winds up being one of those things they kind of ignore later on. It kind of doesn't make a lot of sense why they even added it in there. But now we know that's why, because
That's why it's mentioned that they're part of a larger organism. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Wi-Fi brain cells.
Fair enough. It does, like, I know they're going from planet to planet, but how do we know there's not more of the same organism on the previous planets? Like,
yeah.
How do we know they transported all of the things to within the satellite's range, I guess?
That answer, if that's one of the things I like about Lower Decks a lot. The cartoon is that they answer, like, I think the first episode they answer the question that you just asked, basically.
That's great.
Whereas, great. What happens after first contact with a thing? Well, then that ship goes on to do other bigger and better things while they bring in a secondary crew who is in charge of quote unquote second contact.
Clean up.
I like this idea that they're like, okay, we're gonna send out a second contact squad to go and like make sure you track down all these bastards and kill them.
That's dark. I love it.
Yeah.
That's fun. Fair enough. Problem solved. There's always other ships taking care of the shit.
Yep. So, by the way, another question here. The first draft script titled Operation Destroy did not feature Kirk's brother and his family. In that version, a Denevan woman named Aurelian was in love with a young man named Cartan who flew his ship into the sun to destroy the creatures. She and her father were not infected and helped the Enterprise crew in their research. That is such a better version of that.
Yeah, because that makes the person who flew into the sun relevant, and it feels tacked on. Like, the whole Sam thing is just kind of there. You have 2 seconds maybe combined of Shatner acting out the mourning of that loss, and then there's nothing. There's no space for it to be dealt with.
Yeah.
So why put it in there?
Yeah, I don't know.
You're just cutting off the opportunities, like, in the future to actually explore a relationship with his brother. You've already mentioned it, apparently, so like, you could have done something with that. That was more than whatever this was.
Yeah. Kirk, on the other hand, like Shatner, on the other hand, did a great job of showing how angry he was at Bones for blinding Spock.
Yeah. That was unsettling in a way, where it was like, God damn it, you really didn't think of this ahead of time.
Yeah. And I do like that they give it enough to, or they even bothered giving McCoy some regret on that and feeling like it was his fault. We didn't get nearly enough time of that. We didn't get enough of that. That should, first of all, these are serialized mostly, so not serialized, episodic mostly.
Yeah.
If it were serialized,
I got what you were going for. Yeah.
If this was serialized, we would have, maybe a few episodes here and there of Kirk talking about something else, or another episode and showing that he's become a sadder, more depressed type of character, or even more broken in some way.
Yeah,
because that's where the candy is.
Impact.
That's the part of the gusher that squishes into your mouth.
I'm not sure how we got to that part of the sentence.
Anyway, I don't know either.
I'm sure it meant something when you said it.
Well, I'm saying, flawed characters, man. That's where the meat is. That's where the juicy part is. Okay. The juicy part of the gusher.
Yes, right. Sure. Yes.
You bite through story structure, and if you get to the flawed characters, that's the juicy part in the middle.
Right. I just my brain must have just went offline as you said gushing, and I was I don't know. It's an animal instinct, I suppose.
Gushers are little fruit candies over here.
Yeah, no, I figured from context, but just the word gush is apparently enough to just send me in a different direction. I do not know why.
Yeah. Gosh, I love the big wrench.
The big wrench?
Yeah.
Oh, right. The fucking key-shaped thing he tries to hit Spock with? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a useful tool, right?
And they called them, they had clubs earlier. And I'm like, I like paused it. I'm like, what is that? Yeah, it's like acrylic lucite or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's some sort of red herring where it's like, oh yeah, get these tests. What are these things? Or is this the problem? We never hear from it again.
Yeah.
You know, sure, fine. It's a different thing. We know that, but still. I do also love how ultraviolet rays are red. It's apparently so far off one end of the spectrum that it ends up on the other side of the spectrum. Mm-hmm. But that's just television for you, and I adore that. Just that's part of the charm.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is a stupid episode, but it's kind of a weirdly perfect episode for me because I can see all the seams, and I'm
yeah, that is fair. If that piques your interest, then that makes sense. Yeah, because it's also like at the end, the ultraviolet rays make them burn up into, I don't know, vapor, I guess. But in the lab setting, that didn't happen, even though there was more rays of light. I don't know. I should not overthink this type of shit. But
it doesn't hold up.
No, I know. That's the problem. Yeah. I love it when it does, but God, when it doesn't, it's hard to turn off the part of my brain that is used to it working.
You know what? I was just talking about this with my buddy Drew, and we were talking about the Matrix, and he didn't know that the reason that the Wachowskis made it to where the machines were using human beings as batteries, because that's a stupid idea. That they wouldn't maintain themselves by using us as a battery. There are way more efficient ways of generating that electricity than dealing with us. Draining our energy.
You kind of have to keep us alive and all that. So,
but no, the original
energy.
The original version of it though was a neural net. They were using us as basically our imagination and our computation power.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah,
to feed into the Matrix and show us what we expect and what we want to see. Like,
yeah.
That is, and then
also kind of relates to the previous Matrix that is mentioned, where no one would accept it because it was too good.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was their original idea, and the studio made them change it to we're batteries because they didn't think that the audience would understand the phrase neural net.
Yeah, because everyone was familiar with the term Matrix and shit. Yeah. I'm sure everyone who watched that movie in '99 understood it perfectly.
Yeah.
Bold take. Yeah. I'm sure they didn't know the word transgender either at that point. So really, it was an analogy that was ahead of its time.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that I have much else to say. The woman who played Aurelian or whatever her name was did a fantastic job because her screams sounded very, very disheartening.
Yeah. She was in pain. Like, some of her lines were better than others, but yeah, it was fine. It was good.
I don't know. I felt like she could have easily fallen into the well of Ham, but I thought she did a good job of slowly amping up answers with more pain, horrible screaming, almost to the point of death, and then she's calm again and answering more questions, and just doing that cycle until she actually does die.
Wasn't bad. It was good shit.
Yeah. I want to know more about those creatures, though.
Sure. But yeah, they're, again, life beyond our comprehension, so we'll never know.
Yeah.
It's never life as we know it, is it?
No. It's life, Jim, but not as we know it.
Who's Jim? I'm not Jim.
Jim. Kirk.
Oh, that Jim. Right.
So
he's Jimmy now.
He's
James D. Kirk, but to his brother, he's Jim. Yeah. Anyway.
I'm going to have to introduce you to the song Star Trekkin'.
I'm very curious.
Yeah, it's just a lot of fun. But I think that's it for now.
Probably, yeah.
Have anything else?
No, I'm not like, oh, there were great lines in this. No, it was fine. It was fun. It was a bit of a romp, and like with a silly title that does kind of, it matches the content, you know.
Yeah, I like the title. I like how silly it is. I like how pulpy.
Yeah,
it
no,
is.
I get it. The vibe matches, and it's just, boy, it picked a poor episode to come after, because I you know, I'm in a different mindset for what this show is right now, and then
Yeah.
But we'll readjust. It's both. It's everything. Yeah. All of the timelines exist. It's fine.
Well, next time Kirk flees from a big ass cat in an episode that's complete scat.
Jesus.
That means I don't like that episode. I hate that episode.
Yeah, no, I figured. I know what scat is. Thank you.
We're jumping off of our on our
I figured
season.
You didn't mean Scatman. Boop boop boop. No, it's
yeah, we're starting our season 2 reviews with one of my very, very, very least favorites, Cat's Paw. I hope you'll come and play with us anyway. Until then, Joe Lontrue, live long, prosper, and as always,
plank on a clit and eat a dick, people. Eat that dick.
I'm not sure how comfortable I am with you whispering "eat a dick" into the microphone.
You don't have to be comfortable with it. You just have to edit it and publish it.
I won't edit it, but the other things will happen.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll take it.
Yeah, you will.
Thank you for listening to the Star Trek Universe Podcast, a Stranded Panda production. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Robertson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv for his web videos. If you'd like to hear more from Matthew Carroll, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast or listen to his music. Just search for Matthew Carroll anywhere you get music.